What's your biggest hog? I mean, that's what everyone wants to know, right? What's your biggest one?
But we do it all year long. I mean, so you know, I hunt them with bows and air rifles and ARs and everything. Whether it's you know 20 degrees outside or 108 degrees outside. I mean, we still get after it all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're getting into prime time because they're a lot of the farmers around here are starting to cut their corn. We're getting into the harvest time, and it's probably you know another week or two. It's gonna be mayhem out in the crop fields out here.
Do you know off the top of your head how much damage Texas alone incurs from
My
hogs?
understanding in the research that I've done is in Texas alone. I think the last numbers I saw, as far as say crop damage, was around 54 million a year. So over 50 million a year. But as far as total damage, and we're talking property damage, livestock, crops. I mean, we're talking all of it. We're talking damage to the environment. We're talking about habitat for other indigenous species out here. We're talking over $400 million a year in total damage annually.
Do they come into residential? Have they ever come into residential areas and terrorize people?
Yeah, I mean, there's some of that. I mean, especially if you're in a place where you know some rural areas are nearby. I know even when I was living in Navarro County down in Corsicana, we had problems with pigs tearing up the golf course down there. And I was talking to, in fact, I was talking to Brian Quaka, Pigman, years ago, and I can't remember where we were talking. We were just talking hog hunting, and he was, and he knew that I lived, you know, 45 minutes up the road from him. So we were talking about Corsicana, and he was actually getting ready to go up there and literally hunt on our golf course.
Really?
So I think if you live in places that are close to rural environments, or even if your neighborhoods butt up to some areas that I call hoggy areas, then you probably are going to see some hogs come through your yards and terrorize your pets. And I think there's a woman down in the Houston area that, earlier this year, I think, that was killed by, I don't know if it was by a boar or a sounder, I can't remember, but you know, the important thing to remember is that you know, there is an inherent danger when you're hunting hogs. It's not necessarily a prevalent thing. I don't think you have to go out there and worry about getting hurt, but you just have to have some common sense when you go out there and you're hunting hogs. You know, most people know me. I know a lot of guys will go out there and chase them with dogs and grab by the back legs and everything else. And me, I touch pigs when they're dead.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to touch the live ones, but have you ever had a scenario where you had one charge you, or had any real Western scenarios with a hog?
Yeah, it's funny because I just wrote an article about that for Hog Hunting Magazine. I think the last issue is on the shelf. It's a special issue that's put out by Outdoor Sportsman Group and North American Whitetail. And I wrote about the myths of hog hunting, right? And like we just talked about, there's an inherent danger, but people like to emphasize that. And I can't tell you how many shows I've seen on TV where they talk about they're dangerous, lock up your kids and, you know, and stay away and let the professionals do it. Of course, those are guys that are getting paid to go out there and you know, extricate hogs, trap them, kill them, whatever they're going to do. So of course they're out there trying to make a buck. My position has always been hog hunting is year round. It's awesome. It's a great way to make sure that you're ready for fall hunting. It's also a great way to introduce your kids and your spouse to hunting, right? So yeah, there's an inherent danger, but it's 99% of the time when people say they're being charged, man, they're not being charged. They're in the way of a hog trying to get out of there, right? That's what it is. Somebody takes a shot, they hit a hog, or they don't. The hogs scatter, and one or two happen to run the direction that they're in, running to their position. They think, "Oh, I'm being charged," but they're not. I can promise you, I've been charged a couple times. One trying to get on a four-wheeler with me. That was pretty exciting. And he was literally running to cut me off, and got up on his back legs, and I was off the side of my four-wheeler, off the other side of the gas tank in the seat, and I was trying to kick him with my foot to keep him away.
Oh no.
Another time I was bow hunting, and it was a good shot. It was a mortal shot, but I didn't wait long enough.
Mm.
I thought that I was shooting. Most of my bow hunting is at nighttime. In fact, most of my hunting now, especially with thermal and night vision, whether I'm running air guns or ARs, 99% of my hunting is still at nighttime, right?
Mm.
And so I depend on other things like illumination. And the bow hunting, I use illuminated nocks. And I use that example because this is the example. I mean, I was bow hunting when I was charged by this about a 200-pound boar. And I made a shot. I knew it was a good shot. And I was using illuminated nocks, right? And so I shot the boar, and it ran about, I'd say 20 yards. And I did have a pass through that I knew of. And so my illuminated knock stopped about 20 yards from where I had shot him. And so he's about 40 yards away, but it's pitch black outside. But I knew that I could see the lighted knock stop. So I thought, oh, he's down right there. Right. So I get out of my stand and I walk over, and I was with a friend of mine. It was also a guide and a friend, but fortunately he kept the 1911 in his Chippewa boot. And so we walked over there, and man, I looked him. I walked over to lighted knock, and it was just the arrow laying in the dirt. I thought, oh, I got to pass through somehow. I mean, he ran with the arrow, but here's the arrow in the dirt, right? And so I thought, well, let me just walk around for a minute and look for some blood, and then we'll go back to the stand and we'll wait. But then when we come back out, we'll know where to start blood tracking, right? I was only interested in just finding first blood and then going back to the stand. Man, I didn't walk 10 yards from where that arrow was laying looking for first blood when I heard a rustle, and I lit him up with the light, and that boar stood up and squared off on me and started just staring me down and popping its jaws at me. And I could see his side was bulging. So what happened is I had shot the arrow went, it wasn't a complete pass through, but the broadhead was out the other side of him.
Right.
And what happened is when he ran away, the broadhead snagged on a branch or something and pulled it back and opened him up on the side, and pulled the arrow out. And that's why the arrow was laying in the dirt with the knock on, right? And with no pig attached to it.
Right.
But then I could see when he was standing up, squared off and popping his jaws at me, and his side was ripped open. I could see, his side bulging. And he just put his head down and just started coming at me at 30 miles an hour. And he was only probably 20 yards from me tops when he stood up and started charging me. So he was in a danger zone with me within seconds.
Right.
And my buddy I would stand there like an idiot with a bow, just like, I've got nowhere to go. He's got me. Like, there's nothing I could climb up. And I mean, I'm a chunky guy anyway. I'm not getting out of the way. Fortunately, my buddy pulled out his 1911 and put, I can't remember, 4 or 5 rounds in him, and he stopped maybe 3 feet from me. So yeah, he was fixing to stomp a mud hole in me. And he was about a 200-pound boar. He had some decent cutters on him, but I mean, they do get bigger. But man, I mean, look, like I said, I can't tell you how many pigs I've killed. I can't tell you how many pigs I've killed with a bow. I can't tell you how many times, how many hours, how many nights I've spent out in the woods from dusk to sunrise. Mm. And I have maybe 2 experiences, maybe 3 tops, out of all the years and I've been hunting, and all the pigs that I've killed and all the pigs I've seen. I've had other close circumstances, but most of the time, I think if you just stop, like I have in other occasions where I've come up on hogs and they come out and I don't like them, they don't like me, and we just stare at each other. I don't move. I just wait to see what that hog is going to do. And every single time that I've done that, man, they stop moaning and barking at me, and then they just walk away, and I go my own way. So it's never been an issue. They're not as dangerous as everybody thinks they are, but
if you get caught,
it's there.
Trouble. Yeah.
You have to be ready.
There was one time I was in South Texas a couple of years ago on a deer hunt, and going into my blind in the morning, there was 2 deer on two hogs out in front of the blind, and I didn't have any type of nighttime illumination, but I had no idea what to do. I wasn't sure if they were going to come and tear me up or not. So I jumped into the feed pen where the deer would be going, just to wait until they had moved off. I mean, they were right in front of my blind, like 4 feet. And I was, I'm from the north, so I'd never actually seen one. That was actually the first one I ever saw in person in the light of my headlamp. But the funny thing is, like, I was less than 15 yards from them, and they didn't even look up when I shined light in their face. That was the weird part.